Welcome to Talk Tune English, the place where you can learn English through simple stories about everyday life. In these stories, you will hear clear and easy English, the kind of English that helps you learn, practice, and enjoy at the same time. Today, I want to share a story about a man named Jason and how his normal day was filled with small but meaningful moments. Listen carefully. Repeat sentences if you want, and enjoy learning English with us. Let's begin. The soft morning sun came through the window. Jason stretched, yawned, and smiled. It was time to begin the day. He took a shower, dressed neatly, and prepared a simple breakfast of tea and bread. His father was already sitting at the table with a newspaper in his hands. "Good morning, Father," Jason said. His father looked up, smiled, and answered, "Good morning. Jason, did you sleep well?" "Yes." Jason replied, "I feel fresh and ready today." They spoke for a few minutes about the weather. The forecast said it might rain in the afternoon, so his father reminded him to carry an umbrella. Jason nodded, grateful for the reminder. Even in small conversations, he felt warmth and comfort. After breakfast, Jason packed his bag and left the house. The street outside was calm. Children were walking to school with their colorful backpacks. Some were laughing and chatting happily. Watching them reminded Jason of his own school days. He smiled as he walked to the bus stop, carrying those happy memories with him. On the way, he saw his neighbor, Mrs. Khan, walking her dog. "Good morning, Mrs. Khan," Jason greeted politely. She returned a warm smile. "Good morning, Jason. Heading to work?" "Yes," Jason said. "I have a busy day ahead." She mentioned that she planned to meet her daughter later that day. They exchanged a few words about the weather and their weekend plans. That small talk made Jason's walk pleasant, and he felt connected to his community even before reaching the bus stop. When Jason arrived at the office, the team was gathering for the morning briefing. Their manager, Mr. Karim, stood in front of the room. "Good morning, everyone," he began. "Today, we will focus on client communications and finalize project updates." Jason listened carefully. When Mr. Karim asked for suggestions, Jason raised his hand. "I think we should create a checklist for each task," he suggested. "It will help us keep track of deadlines more easily." His colleague Aisha nodded. "That's a good idea. It will make things simpler for everyone." Jason felt encouraged. The meeting continued, and together they created a clear plan for the day. Back at his desk, Jason opened his laptop and checked emails. One client needed clarification about a project timeline. Jason wrote a clear response and then followed up with a quick phone call. The client thanked him for the prompt communication. That moment reminded Jason how attention to detail builds trust and makes work smoother. After finishing some tasks, Jason took a short mid-morning break. He walked outside to a nearby park. The air was fresh, and the quiet surroundings relaxed him. A few drops of rain began to fall, but people still enjoyed the weather under umbrellas. Jason noticed a man helping a child cross the street safely. The simple act touched him. It reminded him that kindness often goes unnoticed, but can mean a lot to someone. He sat on a bench, thinking about his own actions at work, helping colleagues, supporting clients, and giving advice. These small gestures created value for others. Jason felt encouraged to continue making positive contributions every day. Returning to the office, Jason felt focused again. He began preparing for an afternoon client presentation. He organized his slides carefully, reviewed the data, and double-checked every detail. Later, when the client joined the video call, Jason greeted them warmly and explained the updates clearly. The client smiled and said, "Thank you. Jason. This will help us plan our next steps effectively. Jason felt proud. His careful preparation had paid off. The sense of accomplishment gave him more motivation to continue improving his work. At lunchtime, Jason met his friend Samir near the office. They walked to a small cafe and ordered light meals. Sitting together, they spoke about family routines. Samir shared, "Over the weekend, I taught my children how to organize their schoolwork. They learned so quickly when we guide them." Jason nodded with a smile. "That's wonderful. Last night, my family and I had dinner together. We cooked, shared stories, and laughed. Small moments like these are precious." Samir agreed. Yes, family time creates memories that last a lifetime. Jason felt grateful for the conversation. It reminded him that whether at work or at home, meaningful connections are what make life full. After lunch, Jason returned to the office. His colleague Bilal came by. "Jason," Bilal said, "can you recommend a good market for fresh vegetables?" Jason thought for a moment and then shared a few suggestions, explaining which stalls usually had the best produce. "Thank you," Bilal said, smiling. "My family will enjoy this." Jason realized again that even small advice can improve someone's daily life. Helping others does not always mean big actions. It can be as simple as sharing useful information. Later in the afternoon, Jason stepped onto the office terrace for a short break. The city looked peaceful after the rain. The streets glistened. Families walked together. Shopkeepers closed their stalls, and children played near puddles. Watching these scenes of everyday life filled Jason with quiet joy. He reflected on how each of us carries responsibilities, yet small gestures of kindness bring us closer as a community. As the day ended, Jason packed his bag and left the office. On the bus ride home, he thought about everything that had happened: assisting a client, supporting Bilal, preparing the presentation, and sharing lunch with Samir. Each moment seemed small, but together they created a meaningful and satisfying day. When he reached home, Jason's mother had prepared tea. He helped set the cups, while his younger brother, Omar, worked on his homework. They sat together, talking about Omar's school activities. Omar shared that he wanted to do more acts of kindness in the community. Jason smiled and said, "Even small gestures make a big difference." "Omar, you're already making an impact." They sipped tea and discussed simple ways to help others each day. These conversations reminded Jason of the importance of care and community, not only at work, but also in family life. After sharing tea with his family, Jason's father suggested they organize the living room for the weekend. Together, Jason and his father moved some furniture, cleaned the shelves, and arranged old family photos. While sorting through the albums, they found a picture from a picnic years ago. Jason held the photo and smiled. "We look so happy here. We should plan another gathering soon." His father nodded with warmth. "Yes, Jason, spending time together is always important. Let's think about it." The small task of cleaning had turned into a moment of connection. Jason realized that sometimes the simplest activities like moving furniture or looking at old photos can bring back valuable memories and remind families of the bonds they share. Later that evening, Jason sat by his window with a notebook. He wrote a short list of tasks for the next day: finalize a project report, review client documents, help his mother with shopping, and read a short English story before sleeping. Writing plans always made him feel calm and organized. At the end of the list, he added, "Call Maria about her visit next Friday." Jason was looking forward to seeing his old school friend after so many years. The thought filled him with excitement and curiosity. Before sleeping, Jason opened a book and read a short story. It was about a young teacher who moved to a new town and helped neighbors in small ways, guiding children with homework, assisting elderly people with groceries, and encouraging the community to stay connected. Jason paused and thought, "This is inspiring. Small actions really do make a big difference." He closed the book, turned off the light, and reflected on his own day, helping a colleague, advising Bilal, spending time with Samir, and supporting his family. Each action, though small, carried meaning. With a peaceful mind, Jason drifted into sleep. The next morning, sunlight streamed softly through the curtains. Jason woke up refreshed and ready. He prepared breakfast for himself and his father, enjoying the quiet start of the day. "Good morning, Father," Jason said. His father looked up from the newspaper and smiled. "Good morning, Jason. Are you ready for another day?" "Yes," Jason replied. "I feel organized. I have my tasks written down already." They talked about their weekend plans. Jason's father mentioned visiting his sister, Jason's aunt, to help her organize her garden. Jason agreed happily. He enjoyed helping family members, knowing that such moments built strong relationships. On the way to work, Jason saw children walking to school, laughing under colorful umbrellas. The cheerful sound reminded him of his own school days. Later at the office, he shared the memory with Aisha, who laughed and said, "It's true, school days are always full of laughter and stories." At lunchtime, Jason's phone rang. It was his mother, asking him to pick up groceries on the way home. "Of course," Jason said. "I'll take care of it." He felt glad to support his family in small ways. After work, Jason stopped at the market. The shopkeeper greeted him warmly, and Jason carefully chose fresh vegetables, bread, and milk. Small interactions like this, even just buying groceries, gave him a sense of belonging in the community. At home, the family gathered for dinner. His father shared news from the community center. His mother told funny stories about people she had met at the market. And Omar, his younger brother, explained his school project about helping neighbors and building stronger communities. Listening to everyone, Jason felt warmth in his heart. Sharing daily experiences over dinner created a sense of unity and togetherness. After dinner, Jason read a story to Omar about a boy who helped his neighbors during a heavy rainstorm, delivering food and checking on elderly people. Omar listened carefully and then said, "I want to do the same when I grow up." Jason smiled. "You already do small things every day, Omar. Kindness is about heart and effort, not age." Omar nodded proudly. Jason knew that encouraging his brother would inspire him to continue practicing small acts of kindness. Before bed, Jason opened his notebook again. He wrote about the day's meaningful moments, helping clients, supporting colleagues, sharing dinner with family, and noticing kindness in the world around him. He also noted a reminder: prepare to welcome Maria next Friday. As he closed the notebook, Jason reflected on the day. Every small action, every simple conversation, and every shared meal had added richness to his life. Even with responsibilities and challenges, focusing on meaningful interactions gave him a sense of satisfaction and purpose. With these thoughts, Jason switched off the light and prepared for rest. He felt ready for another day, ready to notice, appreciate, and contribute to the small but powerful moments of life. Jason walked down the street, feeling light after helping Mr. Rahman. The evening air was cool, and the city lights slowly began to shine. He thought about the small act of kindness and how it made both him and the old man happy. A few steps later, he saw children riding bicycles in the small park nearby. Some parents were sitting on benches, talking and watching their kids play. Jason smiled and said to himself, "Parks always bring people together. Even if you don't know everyone, The atmosphere feels warm and friendly. He stopped for a moment to enjoy the sound of laughter. It reminded him of weekends with his own children, when they played football in the park or shared a simple snack under the trees. He thought, these moments are not expensive. They are small, but they build strong memories. Jason looked at his watch. I should head home soon, he thought. He walked to the bus stop and waited with a few others. When the bus arrived, he found a seat near the window. As the bus moved, he watched the city passing by, shops closing, people carrying groceries, and lights turning on in homes. 2 women were sitting behind him, speaking softly. Jason could not help but overhear. One woman said, I always struggle to balance my office work and house chores. Sometimes I feel tired before the day even begins. The other replied, I know what you mean. I try to make a small plan every morning, even if I don't finish everything. At least I know my direction. Jason thought about their words. That's a good idea, he said quietly to himself. Planning really does make a big difference. When he arrived home, his mother greeted him at the door. Welcome back, Jason. Dinner is almost ready. Jason put down his bag and smiled. Great. Let me help you set the table. Together they placed plates, cups, and food. As they worked, his mother said, Your father met an old friend today at the market. They had tea together and talked about old times. Jason nodded. That sounds wonderful. Simple reunions often bring so much joy. During dinner, Jason enjoyed listening to his parents' stories. After the meal, he spent time with his younger brother, Omar, who was doing homework at the table. Do you need help with that? Jason asked. Omar looked up. Yes, I need to write a short essay about helping in the community. Do you have any ideas? Jason smiled. Of course. You can write about small things like helping neighbors carry groceries, cleaning the park with friends, or teaching younger kids in the neighborhood. Omar's eyes lit up. That's helpful. I'll write about the time I helped an old man carry his bags. It happened just last week. Jason laughed softly. Perfect. Real stories make essays even better. Before going to bed, Jason reflected on the day. He realized the most meaningful parts were not the tasks he finished at work, but the little interactions helping Mr. Rahman, sharing dinner with his family, talking with Omar. These were the moments that gave life value. The next morning, Jason woke up early again. He prepared tea and checked his phone. There was a message from his colleague, Peter. Wassam, good morning. Jason, we have a quick meeting at 9. Please bring your notes from yesterday. Jason replied quickly. Sure, I'll bring them. At the office, the team gathered in the meeting room. Peter said, We're planning a small event for our clients to thank them for their support. It will be simple, just tea, coffee, and some light snacks. Jason said, That's a great idea. It doesn't have to be big. Small gestures build strong connections. Their manager added, Yes, and we'll also invite their families. We want everyone to feel comfortable. Jason nodded, feeling glad that the company valued kindness and relationships as much as work. After the meeting, Jason returned to his desk. He opened his notebook and wrote a short list of tasks for the day. Finish the client report, review project notes, call the supplier, and remember to buy fruits on the way home. He said quietly to himself. Writing things down gave him focus and made the day feel more organized. Aisha walked over with a smile. Jason, could you check this email draft before I send it to the client? Jason read carefully and suggested a few small changes. Maybe you can make this sentence shorter. It will sound clearer. Aisha nodded. That's a good point. Thank you. Jason smiled back. You're welcome. Clear communication always helps. Later in the morning, He made a call to a client who had questions about their project. Jason explained the timeline step by step, making sure everything was simple and clear. The client replied, "Thank you, Jason. I understand much better now. Your explanation helps us plan ahead." Jason hung up the phone feeling satisfied. He thought, when we explain things simply, people feel more confident. That's the power of clear words. At lunchtime, Jason decided to walk to a small park near the office. He sat on a bench under the shade of a tree and opened his lunchbox. While eating, he noticed an old couple slowly walking together, holding hands. They smiled as they passed by. Jason thought, love and care are built from small moments, just like this walk. When he finished lunch, his phone buzzed with a message from his friend Samir. "Jason, do you have time this evening? Let's meet for tea." Jason replied, "Yes, I'd love that." Back at the office, Bilal stopped by his desk. "Jason, do you know a good place to buy fresh vegetables? My wife wants to try cooking something new this weekend." Jason thought for a moment. "Yes, go to the market near Green Street. The first 2 stalls on the left have fresh produce. The tomatoes there are excellent." Bilal smiled. "Thank you, Jason. My family will enjoy that. I appreciate your advice." Jason felt glad. Even small suggestions can help others. That's also a way to care. Later in the afternoon, Jason stepped onto the terrace for a short break. The air was cool, and the streets below were busy but peaceful. He watched families returning home, shopkeepers closing their stalls, and children laughing near puddles after the light rain. He thought, everyone is busy with their responsibilities, but small acts of kindness make the world softer, just like a smile or a little help. When the workday ended, Jason packed his bag and took the bus home. On the way, he reflected, "Today I helped Aisha, guided Bilal, explained things to a client, and enjoyed lunch in the park." Small things, but they created meaning. That is what makes life feel full. At home, his mother greeted him with tea. Jason helped set the cups on the table. Omar was finishing his homework. "How was school today?" Jason asked. Omar replied, "It was good. I helped a classmate with his math. It felt nice." Jason smiled. "See, even small help matters. You're already making a difference." After tea, their father suggested organizing the living room for the weekend. Together, they rearranged the furniture, cleaned shelves, and sorted through old family photographs. Jason picked up one picture from a picnic years ago. "We should plan another family picnic soon," he said with a smile. His father agreed. "Yes, family time is precious. Let's do it." Later in the evening, Jason wrote down his tasks for the next day. Complete the project report, help mother with shopping, read a short English story before sleeping. Writing a list gave him clarity and calm. Before bed, Jason read a story about a teacher who moved to a small town and helped neighbors through simple actions, organizing study groups, carrying groceries for elderly people, and encouraging children to study. Jason closed the book and thought, even my small daily actions helping colleagues, guiding friends, spending time with family create impact. Little steps build lasting value. He lay in bed reflecting on the day. Every moment at work, in the park, with his family gave him a sense of purpose. He fell asleep with gratitude in his heart. The next morning, Jason woke up early. Soft sunlight filled his room, and the streets outside were calm. He stretched, made his bed, and walked to the kitchen. His father was already sitting at the table with a newspaper. "Good morning, Father," Jason said warmly. His father looked up and smiled. "Good morning, Jason. Ready for a new day?" "Yes," Jason replied. "I feel refreshed. I want to make today productive. He prepared tea and toasted bread for breakfast. While they ate together, they talked about the weekend. His father reminded him, "Don't forget to visit your aunt. She needs help organizing her garden." Jason nodded. "Of course, I'll be there." Before leaving, Jason packed his umbrella in case of rain. It's better to be prepared, he thought. On the way to the bus stop, he saw his neighbor Mrs. Khan walking her dog. "Good morning, Mrs. Khan." Jason greeted her. She smiled warmly. "Good morning, Jason. Off to work?" "Yes." Jason nodded. "I have meetings today, but I feel ready." Mrs. Khan told him she was planning to meet her daughter later. They chatted briefly about the weather and their weekend plans. The conversation was short but friendly, making Jason's walk pleasant. At the office, the team gathered for the morning briefing. Mr. Karim, the manager, explained the priorities, complete the client reports, update the ongoing projects, and check timelines carefully. Jason raised his hand. "Maybe we can create a checklist for each task. That way, everyone can track progress more clearly." Aisha nodded. "Yes, that will help us meet deadlines more easily." The manager agreed. "Good idea, Jason. Let's do that." Jason felt satisfied that his input made the team's work smoother. Everyone shared their responsibilities, and by the end of the meeting, they had a clear plan for the day. Back at his desk, Jason began responding to emails. One client asked about the project timeline. Jason drafted a simple, clear reply and followed up with a quick call. He explained the updates step by step, making sure the client understood. "Thank you, Jason," the client said. "Your clear response makes everything easier for us." Jason smiled after the call. He thought, even small efforts, like quick and clear communication, build trust and strengthen relationships. Later in the morning, Jason took a short walk in the nearby park during his break. The air was fresh, and a light drizzle made the leaves shine. He noticed a young man helping an elderly woman carry her shopping bags across the street. Jason thought, kindness is powerful. Small gestures can mean a lot. He sat on a bench for a few minutes, reflecting. At work, I guide my colleagues. At home, I help my family. These simple actions, just like the man carrying bags, create real impact. When he returned to the office, Jason prepared for an afternoon client presentation. He carefully organized the slides, reviewed each detail, and made sure the data was correct. When the client joined the video call, Jason greeted them warmly. "Good afternoon. Let's review the updates together." He spoke clearly and at a steady pace, explaining the key points. The client nodded and said, "This presentation is very clear. It will help us plan the next steps effectively." Jason felt proud. Preparation makes a difference. He thought, when we pay attention to details, success follows naturally. At lunchtime, Jason met Samir at a quiet cafe near the office. They both unpacked their meals and started chatting. Samir smiled. "Last weekend, I helped my children organize their schoolwork. It felt good to spend that time with them." Jason replied, "That's wonderful. Yesterday, my family cooked dinner together. We laughed and shared stories. Small family moments like that are special." Samir nodded. "Yes. These simple times become our best memories." Jason agreed, feeling grateful for his family. After lunch, Jason returned to his desk. Bilal stopped by and asked, "Jason, do you know any good stalls for fresh vegetables?" Jason answered, "Yes. Go to Green Street Market. The first stalls on the left have the freshest produce. The tomatoes there are especially good." Bilal smiled. "Thank you, Jason. That will help my wife a lot." Jason thought, sharing knowledge Even something simple like this makes life easier for others. That's another form of kindness. Later in the afternoon, Jason stepped onto the office terrace for a short break. The city looked calm, and the streets glistened after the rain. Families were walking home together, shopkeepers were closing their stalls, and children played in small puddles. Jason took a deep breath and thought, even though everyone is busy with responsibilities, small gestures of care make the world brighter. He watched people helping each other, like a mother holding her child's hand, or a neighbor carrying groceries for an elderly person. Kindness is everywhere, Jason thought, and noticing it reminds me to keep contributing in small ways, both at work and at home. When the workday ended, Jason packed his bag and headed to the bus stop. On the ride home, he reflected on the interactions of the day, helping a colleague, guiding Bilal, completing the client presentation, and spending time with Samir. Each small action had created a sense of fulfillment. He realized that even amid a busy schedule, focusing on meaningful connections made the day feel rewarding. Arriving home, Jason was greeted by the smell of freshly brewed tea. His mother had prepared a small evening snack. He helped set the cups while Omar worked on his homework. "How was your school day?" Jason asked his brother. Omar looked up eagerly. "We learned about helping neighbors and small acts of kindness. I want to do more at home and in my community." Jason smiled. "Even small gestures matter. You're already making a difference every day." They enjoyed tea together, sharing ideas on how to help others in practical ways. After tea, Jason's father suggested, "Let's organize the living room for the weekend." Jason joined him, moving furniture slightly, cleaning surfaces, and arranging family photos. While sorting through old photographs, they found pictures from a family picnic years ago. Jason held one photo and said, "We should plan another outing soon. It's good to spend time together." His father nodded. "Yes, these moments are important. They remind us of what really matters." Later in the evening, Jason wrote down his tasks for the next day: finalize a project report, review client documents, help his mother with shopping, and read a short English story before sleeping. He also reminded himself to call Maria about her upcoming visit. Writing his plan gave him clarity and calm, helping him feel prepared for the day ahead. Before going to bed, Jason read a story about a young teacher who moved to a new town and helped neighbors in small, meaningful ways. The teacher guided children with homework, assisted elderly residents, and encouraged the community to support each other. Jason felt inspired, realizing that his own daily actions helping colleagues, advising friends, and spending time with family could create a similar positive impact. As he lay in bed, Jason reflected on the day. Every small act, conversation, and shared moment contributed to a sense of fulfillment. Helping colleagues, guiding Bilal, enjoying lunch with Samir, spending time with family, and noticing the kindness of others all added depth to life. Focusing on meaningful interactions created satisfaction and purpose, even amid busy routines. The next morning, Jason woke up feeling refreshed. The streets were calm, and the sun streamed gently through his window. He prepared a light breakfast of bread, cheese, and tea for himself and his father. They talked briefly about the day ahead and small plans for the weekend, including visiting his aunt and helping her organize her garden. Jason packed his umbrella, knowing light rain might fall later. On his way to the bus stop, he noticed his neighbor, Mrs. Khan, walking her dog. "Good morning, Mrs. Khan," he said. She smiled warmly. "Good morning, Jason. Are you off to work?" "Yes," Jason replied. "I have a few meetings, but I'm feeling prepared." They chatted briefly about weekend plans. and Jason felt the simple conversation brightened his morning. At the office, the team gathered for the morning briefing. Mr. Kareem outlined the priorities for the day, finalizing client reports and preparing updates on ongoing projects. Jason suggested creating a checklist for each task to help the team stay organized. Aisha nodded in agreement. Jason felt satisfied knowing his suggestion helped improve the workflow. After the meeting, Jason returned to his desk and began responding to emails. One client asked for clarification about a timeline, so he drafted a clear reply and followed up with a call. The client thanked him for the prompt response. Jason felt content knowing that small actions like this built trust and kept communication smooth. During his mid-morning break, he walked to the nearby park. The fresh air and gentle sunlight made him feel relaxed. He noticed a father helping his child ride a bicycle and thought about how small acts of care can create lasting memories. Jason sat on a bench for a moment, reflecting on his own small contributions at work and home. Back at the office, Jason prepared for a client presentation. He organized slides, checked details, and ensured all documents were accurate. When the client joined the virtual meeting, he greeted them warmly and presented updates clearly. The client expressed appreciation for Jason's clarity, saying it would help them plan their next steps. Jason felt a deep sense of accomplishment. At lunchtime, Jason met Samir at a quiet cafe. They unpacked their lunches and shared stories about family routines. Samir spoke about spending quality time with his children on weekend projects, while Jason shared how his family had prepared dinner together and talked about their day. Spending time with family creates memories that last, Samir said. Jason nodded, feeling grateful for these small but meaningful moments. After lunch, Jason returned to the office and helped Bilal with advice about the best local markets for fresh vegetables. Bilal thanked him, saying his family would enjoy the shopping experience. Jason realized how even small guidance can make daily life easier and bring people closer. When the workday ended, Jason packed his bag and rode the bus home. He reflected on the day, helping a colleague, guiding Bilal, presenting to a client, and sharing lunch with Samir. Each action, no matter how small, had contributed to a sense of fulfillment. At home, his mother had prepared evening tea, and Omar was finishing his homework. They talked about school, daily routines, and small acts of kindness. Jason encouraged Omar to continue helping others, reminding him that effort and heart matter more than age. After tea, Jason's father suggested organizing the living room for the weekend. They moved furniture, cleaned surfaces, and arranged family photos. While sorting old photographs, Jason found one of a family picnic years ago. "We should plan another gathering soon," he said. His father smiled. "Yes, these moments are precious. They remind us what really matters." Later, Jason wrote a short list of tasks for the next day, finalize the project report, review client documents, help his mother with shopping, read a short English story before bed, and call Maria about her upcoming visit. Writing down the plan gave him clarity and calm. Before sleeping, Jason read a story about a young teacher who moved to a new town and helped neighbors through small, thoughtful actions. The teacher encouraged children, assisted the elderly, and fostered community support. Jason felt inspired, reflecting on his own daily acts, helping colleagues, advising friends, and spending time with family that created meaningful connections. As he lay in bed, Jason thought about the upcoming visit from Maria. He felt excited and ready to welcome her, knowing that life's richness comes from these small, meaningful moments shared with friends and family alike. The next Friday morning, Jason woke up feeling excited. Today was Maria's arrival, and he wanted everything to be ready. He prepared breakfast for himself and his father, checked the house for small details, and made a pot of tea to welcome her warmly. By mid-morning, he received a message from Maria confirming her taxi had arrived. Jason grabbed his umbrella, stepped outside, and greeted her with a warm smile. "Maria, it's so wonderful to see you after all these years." Maria returned the smile. "Jason, it feels amazing to be here. I've missed you." They walked together toward Jason's home, chatting about the city, their memories from school, and their journeys over the years. Jason felt a mixture of nostalgia and happiness. At home, Jason offered Maria a cup of tea and some fresh fruit. "Please, make yourself comfortable," he said. Maria looked around and noticed the small details Jason had prepared: the neatly arranged living room, a few family photos, and a tray of snacks. "You've thought of everything, Jason. This feels so welcoming," she said. They sat together at the table and began talking about their lives. Jason shared stories about his work, family routines, and small moments of kindness he had practiced daily. Maria listened intently, occasionally laughing and nodding. After a while, Jason suggested a short walk around the neighborhood to show Maria the local park. Children were playing, parents chatted on benches, and the sun was shining softly. Jason pointed out little spots he enjoyed visiting. "This park always reminds me to slow down and appreciate small moments," he said. Maria smiled. "I love how you notice these things. Life feels fuller when you focus on small, meaningful moments." They returned home and joined Jason's family for a light lunch. His parents welcomed Maria warmly, and Omar shyly introduced himself. During the meal, they shared stories, laughed, and discussed plans for the afternoon. Jason noticed how these simple interactions created a sense of closeness and joy. Later, Jason and Maria sat in the living room with tea. "I've missed days like this," Maria said. "Just sitting, talking, and enjoying company without rushing." Jason nodded. "I've realized over the years that these small moments, helping someone, sharing a meal, listening, or just being present, make life meaningful." Maria smiled. "You're right, and seeing how you live this way inspires me to do the same." As evening approached, they helped prepare a simple dinner together, and Jason's family joined in. Omar eagerly shared stories from school and helped set the table. The house was filled with laughter and warmth. Before Maria left, they stepped outside for a brief goodbye. "Thank you for today, Jason. This visit reminded me what truly matters," Maria said warmly. Jason smiled. "It's been wonderful having you here. Let's not wait so many years for the next time." As he closed the door behind her, Jason reflected on the day. Every small gesture, conversation, and shared moment had created lasting joy and strengthened bonds with friends, family, and even strangers. He felt a deep sense of gratitude, realizing that the richness of life came from these simple, meaningful connections. Before going to bed, Jason wrote in his notebook, "Today was full of heart, friends, family, small acts of kindness. They all make life truly valuable." He felt content, knowing that every day offered new opportunities to connect, help, and enjoy life fully. The next morning, Jason woke up to the fresh, calm air after last night's rain. Soft sunlight streamed through the window, and the birds were singing outside. He prepared a cup of hot tea and a light breakfast for himself and his father. The quiet start of the day filled him with energy and focus. Jason checked his plan for the day, finished the client report, organize project files, spend quality time with his family, and read a short English story in the evening. Having a clear plan made everything feel manageable. On his way to work, Jason noticed children walking to school, laughing and chatting under colorful umbrellas. Memories of his own school days brought a smile to his face. At the office, he shared the memory with Aisha, and they both laughed, realizing that even small, simple moments can brighten a busy day. Around noon, Jason's mother called, asking him to pick up some groceries on the way home. He promised to do so, feeling responsible and happy to help. After work, he stopped by the market and carefully selected fresh vegetables, bread, and milk. The shopkeeper greeted him warmly, and Jason felt a small but meaningful connection with the people around him. Back at home, the family gathered for dinner. His father shared news from the community center. His mother recounted funny stories from the market, and Omar proudly explained his school project. Listening and sharing these small daily experiences created warmth and closeness in their home. After dinner, Jason read a story to Omar about a boy who helped his neighbors during a heavy rainstorm, delivering food and ensuring everyone's safety. Omar listened attentively and said, "I want to do the same when I grow up." Jason smiled. "You are already doing small things every day. Kindness comes from heart and effort, not age." Before going to bed, Jason wrote in his notebook about the day's meaningful moments, helping others, spending time with family, and noticing acts of kindness. He also received a message from Maria, saying she would arrive next Friday. Excited, he felt ready to welcome her, knowing that each day brought opportunities to connect, contribute positively, and enjoy life fully. Friday finally arrived, and Jason woke up with a sense of excitement. Today, his old friend Maria was coming to visit. The morning air was crisp and calm, and sunlight filled his room. He prepared breakfast for himself and his father, making sure everything was ready for the day. After breakfast, he checked his planner once more. Welcome, Maria. Spend quality time catching up, and share a light lunch together. Jason left for work with a spring in his step. On the way, he noticed his neighbor, Mrs. Khan, walking her dog. "Good morning, Mrs. Khan." He greeted her. She smiled warmly. "Good morning, Jason. Enjoy your day." The small, friendly exchange reminded him how daily interactions, even brief ones, could lift spirits. At the office, Jason focused on finishing the last details of his client report. Everything was organized and ready to be sent, giving him peace of mind. By late morning, he received a message from Maria saying she had arrived. He smiled and quickly wrapped up his tasks, eager to meet her. Jason walked to the cafe where they agreed to meet. When he saw Maria waiting at a table by the window, a wave of nostalgia and joy rushed through him. They hugged warmly, and she said, "It's been so long, Jason. I can't wait to catch up." They ordered tea and a few light snacks, then settled into a relaxed conversation. They reminisced about school days, laughed about old memories, and shared their current lives. Maria told him about her husband's new job and their move to the city, while Jason shared stories about his work, his family, and the small acts of kindness he tried to practice every day. As the afternoon passed, Jason realized how much these simple moments of connection meant. It wasn't just about sharing memories. It was about feeling understood, appreciated, and inspired by each other. They promised to meet again soon, and Jason felt a warm sense of gratitude as he walked home. At home, he told his family about Maria's visit and how uplifting it had been. Dinner was full of laughter and shared stories, and Jason felt a deep sense of contentment. Before going to bed, he wrote in his notebook, "Today was a reminder that friendships, even after years, remain valuable. Small moments of connection can brighten life in ways that nothing else can." The next morning, Jason woke up early, feeling refreshed and motivated. Sunlight streamed through his window, casting a warm glow across the room. He made a cup of tea and prepared a light breakfast for himself and his father. Enjoying the quiet start to the day, he glanced at his planner and reviewed his tasks. Finalize the new project proposal, call a few clients, help his mother with groceries, and spend a few minutes reading before bed. Having a plan made him feel organized and ready. On his way to work, he noticed children walking to school, laughing and chatting under umbrellas. Their energy reminded him of his own school days, and he smiled to himself. At the office, he greeted his colleagues warmly and joined the morning briefing. Mr. Kareem outlined the priorities for the day, emphasizing teamwork and clear communication. Jason suggested creating a checklist for the ongoing tasks, making it easier for everyone to track deadlines. Aisha nodded, appreciating the idea. Throughout the morning, Jason focused on completing the project proposal. He responded promptly to client emails, clarified timelines, and ensured that all documents were accurate. Each small act of diligence reinforced trust and smooth collaboration with his clients. During his mid-morning break, he stepped outside to the nearby park. The fresh air and quiet surroundings gave him a moment to pause. He noticed a man helping an elderly neighbor carry her shopping and smiled, thinking about how small gestures of care can make a lasting difference. Back at the office, he prepared for a client presentation in the afternoon. He organized slides, reviewed all the data, and made sure everything was clear and concise. When the client joined the call, Jason greeted them warmly, explained the updates, and answered questions with confidence. The client appreciated the clarity, and Jason felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that preparation and attention to detail had made a positive impact. At lunchtime, Jason met his friend Samir at a quiet cafe near the office. They unpacked their lunches and talked about family routines. Samir shared how he had been helping his children plan their schoolwork more efficiently. Jason spoke about his family dinner the previous evening, where everyone had shared stories and helped each other. They agreed that even small, shared moments create memories that last a lifetime. After lunch, Jason returned to the office. His colleague Bilal asked for advice about local markets for fresh vegetables. Jason gave him a few recommendations, explaining which stalls offered the freshest produce. Bilal thanked him, saying his family would enjoy the shopping experience. Jason realized again that sharing small tips or guidance could make someone else's day easier, creating meaningful connections through simple actions. As the workday ended, Jason packed his bag and headed home. On the bus, he reflected on the day's interactions, helping clients, guiding colleagues, completing the project proposal, and enjoying lunch with Samir. Each small act added to a sense of fulfillment, proving that attention to others and thoughtful action made every day feel richer. At home, his mother had prepared tea. Jason helped set the cups while his younger brother Omar worked on homework. They talked about his school day and the importance of helping neighbors. Jason shared examples from his own day, reinforcing how small gestures, whether at work or at home, can make a meaningful difference. Omar listened intently, inspired to take action himself. After tea, Jason and his father organized the living room for the weekend. They rearranged furniture, cleaned surfaces, and sorted through family photos. Among the pictures, they found old memories of a family picnic, which brought smiles and laughter. Jason suggested planning another gathering soon, and his father agreed. The simple act of organizing reminded him of the joy that comes from family connections and preserving memories. Before bed, Jason wrote a list of tasks for the next day, review client feedback, finalize a small presentation, help his mother with shopping, and read an English story to unwind. He reflected on the day in his notebook, noting the small but meaningful interactions that had made it so fulfilling. Even amidst responsibilities and challenges, the thoughtful connections with colleagues, friends, and family created a sense of purpose and satisfaction that no busy schedule could diminish. The following morning, Jason woke to the soft sound of birds chirping outside his window. The streets were quiet, the air fresh after a light overnight drizzle. He brewed a cup of tea and prepared a simple breakfast for himself and his father, savoring the calm before a busy day. Today, he planned to finalize client feedback, review presentation slides, help his mother with some shopping, and spend a few minutes reading before bed. Having a clear plan made him feel prepared and balanced. On his way to work, Jason noticed children laughing and skipping along the sidewalks on their way to school. Their joy reminded him of his own childhood, and he smiled at the memory. At the office, he greeted colleagues warmly and joined the morning briefing. Mr. Kareem outlined the day's priorities, emphasizing collaboration and clear communication. Jason suggested dividing tasks into small, manageable steps to help everyone stay on track. Aisha nodded approvingly, appreciating the practical advice. During the morning, Jason focused on reviewing client feedback. He drafted concise responses, clarified project updates, and ensured that all communication was professional and friendly. Each interaction reinforced trust and smooth collaboration. During his mid-morning break, he stepped outside for a short walk in the nearby park. He saw a man helping a child cross a puddle safely and thought about how even small acts of kindness could leave a lasting impression. In the afternoon, Jason prepared for a client presentation. He carefully reviewed slides, double-checked data, and organized supporting documents. When the client joined the call, Jason greeted them warmly, presented the updates clearly, and answered questions confidently. The client expressed satisfaction with the clarity and precision of his work, and Jason felt proud that his preparation had made a meaningful impact. At lunchtime, he met his friend Samir at a small cafe. They sat on a quiet bench, enjoying their meals while sharing stories about family routines. Samir spoke about helping his children organize school projects efficiently, and Jason shared about his family dinner the night before, where everyone had contributed to preparing the meal and sharing stories. They both agreed that small, shared moments build lasting memories and strengthen family bonds. After lunch, Jason returned to the office. Bilal approached him, asking for advice on selecting fresh vegetables at the local market. Jason gave him a few suggestions, explaining which stalls usually had the best produce. Bilal thanked him, saying his family would enjoy the shopping experience. Jason felt satisfied knowing that sharing even small knowledge could help someone else's day. As the workday came to a close, Jason packed his bag and headed home. On the bus, he reflected on the day, helping clients, guiding colleagues, preparing presentations, and enjoying lunch with a friend. Each small act had created a sense of fulfillment, proving that thoughtful interactions make daily life richer. At home, his mother had prepared tea. Jason helped set the table while Omar worked on his homework. They discussed school projects, helping neighbors, and ways to make small positive impacts in their community. Jason shared his experiences from the day, emphasizing how even small acts, whether at work or home, make life more meaningful. Omar listened intently, inspired to do his part. Later in the evening, Jason and his father organized the living room for the weekend. They rearranged furniture, dusted surfaces, and sorted through old family photos. Among the photos, they found memories from a picnic years ago, which brought laughter and stories back to life. Jason suggested planning another family outing soon, and his father agreed. The simple act of organizing reminded Jason of the importance of family connections and cherishing memories. Before bed, Jason wrote in his notebook, reflecting on the day's meaningful moments. He noted helping colleagues, sharing knowledge with Bilal, connecting with Samir, and spending quality time with his family. He also reminded himself to call Maria about her upcoming visit next Friday. As he turned off the lights, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that small, thoughtful actions and meaningful conversations could make every day rich, fulfilling, and memorable. The next morning, Jason woke up early, feeling energized and ready for the day ahead. Sunlight streamed softly through the window, and the air carried the crisp freshness of a new day. After brewing a cup of tea, he prepared a light breakfast for himself and his father. They chatted briefly about the weekend plans, including helping his aunt with her garden and spending time together as a family. Jason packed his bag, making sure to include a small notebook for jotting down ideas and observations throughout the day. On his way to work, he noticed children walking to school, laughing and sharing stories under their umbrellas. Their carefree joy brought a smile to his face, reminding him how important it is to pause and appreciate small moments. At the office, Jason joined the morning briefing. Mr. Kareem outlined the day's tasks, emphasizing teamwork and efficiency. Jason suggested creating a mini checklist for each project, ensuring nothing was overlooked. Aisha agreed enthusiastically, and the team felt ready to tackle the day. Jason noticed how small improvements in planning could make everyone's workflow smoother and more satisfying. During the morning, he focused on completing client reports and responding to emails promptly. One client requested clarification on a timeline, and Jason quickly drafted a clear response before following up with a call. The client appreciated his attention to detail and professionalism. Jason felt proud knowing that these small, deliberate actions strengthened trust and made collaboration more effective. Around midday, he took a break and walked to a nearby park. The sun had peeked through the clouds, and the park was lively with families enjoying the day. Jason watched a father teaching his child to ride a bicycle, and a small sense of warmth filled him. He reflected on how meaningful simple acts of care could be, whether guiding a child, assisting a colleague, or helping a neighbor. At lunchtime, Jason met his friend Samir at a quiet cafe near the office. They shared sandwiches and tea while talking about family routines and weekend plans. Samir spoke about organizing a small project with his children, while Jason shared the family dinner from the night before, where each member had contributed to preparing the meal and telling stories. They both agreed that these shared, simple moments created strong bonds and lasting memories. After lunch, Jason returned to the office. Bilal approached, asking for advice on buying fresh vegetables for his family. Jason offered suggestions, pointing out the best stalls and tips for selecting produce. Bilal thanked him warmly, and Jason felt a quiet satisfaction, realizing that even small guidance could make someone's day better. As the workday ended, Jason packed up and headed home. On the bus, he reflected on the day's interactions, helping clients, giving advice to Bilal, collaborating with colleagues, and enjoying lunch with a friend. Each small action added to his sense of fulfillment, reminding him that life's richness comes from thoughtful connections and meaningful interactions. At home, Jason joined his family for tea. Omar was finishing his homework, and they discussed the day's lessons and acts of kindness. Jason shared stories from work, highlighting how even minor gestures can create positive ripples in both personal and professional life. His mother and father added their experiences from the day, and together they enjoyed a simple, warm conversation that strengthened their family bond. Later in the evening, Jason organized his thoughts for the next day in his notebook. He listed client tasks, family responsibilities, and a reminder to call Maria about her upcoming visit. Before bed, he read a short story about a teacher who inspired her community through small, meaningful actions. Jason smiled, reflecting on his own day, and felt grateful for the small but powerful ways he could contribute to others' lives. As he turned off the lights, he thought about the visit from Maria, imagining the conversations, laughter, and shared memories that awaited. He felt a sense of calm and anticipation, knowing that each day offered opportunities to connect, help, and make life richer, one small act at a time. The next morning, Jason woke up with a sense of excitement. Today was special. Maria was arriving soon, and he had planned to welcome her warmly. The sun shone softly through his window, casting a gentle glow over his room. After preparing his morning tea, he made a light breakfast for himself and his father. They chatted about the weekend plans and the little tasks they wanted to accomplish together. Jason packed a small welcome gift for Maria, a basket with fresh fruits and a few homemade treats. He carefully reviewed his schedule, ensuring work tasks were handled so he could spend quality time with his friend. On his way to work, he greeted neighbors warmly, noticing the familiar smiles that made the neighborhood feel like a small, caring community. At the office, Jason focused on completing urgent tasks in the morning. Emails were answered promptly, and client reports were reviewed with attention to detail. Each action reminded him how preparation and thoughtfulness created smooth workflows and stronger professional connections. By lunchtime, Jason had everything in order and decided to take a short walk in the nearby park. The air was fresh, and he enjoyed watching families and children enjoying simple joys. He reflected on how small moments, whether sharing a smile, giving guidance, or helping a neighbor, added meaning to everyday life. In the afternoon, Jason received a message from Maria confirming her arrival at the bus station. He felt a wave of happiness and anticipation. Once work was done, he left the office promptly, making his way to the station. Along the way, he greeted familiar faces, noticing how each small exchange created a sense of connection and belonging. When he arrived at the station, he spotted Maria standing with her luggage, a bright smile lighting up her face. "Jason," she exclaimed, waving warmly. "It's so good to see you after all these years." Jason smiled back. "Maria, welcome. I'm so glad you're here." They hugged, feeling the joy of reconnecting after so much time. As they walked together toward his home, Jason pointed out small details along the way: the park where he often had lunch, the little bakery with fresh bread, and the benches where families gathered. Maria listened intently, appreciating how attentive and observant he was about the simple joys of daily life. Once home, Jason's family greeted Maria warmly. His parents offered tea, and Omar eagerly showed her his school projects. Laughter and stories filled the room, and Jason felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He realized how meaningful these gatherings were, how sharing time, food, and conversation strengthened bonds and created lasting memories. Later, as they sat down for a light dinner together, Jason shared stories from work and his daily reflections on helping others and noticing small acts of kindness. Maria smiled and said, "It's inspiring to see how you find meaning in everyday moments. I hope to bring that same positivity to my new life here." Jason nodded, feeling grateful that his approach to life, appreciating small, meaningful interactions, could inspire others. As the evening came to a close, they planned a few activities for the weekend: a small walk by the river, a visit to the local market, and time spent together as friends. Jason felt a quiet joy in preparing for these simple but heartfelt experiences. knowing that each moment shared would add depth to their connection. Before going to bed, Jason wrote in his notebook about the day welcoming Maria, spending time with his family, and noticing the little moments that made life special. He smiled, realizing that life's richness often came not from grand gestures, but from consistent, small acts of care, attention, and kindness. Jason woke up early, feeling energized and excited for the weekend with Maria. Sunlight streamed through the window, and the city was alive with quiet morning sounds. He prepared breakfast for himself and his father, sharing a few laughs and chatting about the plans for the day. After breakfast, Jason and Maria decided to take a short walk by the river. The path was calm, and the water reflected the soft morning light. Families were strolling, children were laughing, and the gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers from nearby gardens. Jason pointed out his favorite spots, the bench under the large oak tree, where he often sat to think, and the small cafe by the riverbank that served fresh pastries and tea. Maria smiled warmly. "It's so peaceful here. I can see why you enjoy these walks so much." Jason nodded. "Yes, these moments help me pause, reflect, and appreciate the simple joys around us. Life feels richer when we notice the little things." As they walked, they spotted an elderly couple feeding pigeons. Jason greeted them politely, and the couple smiled back, sharing a few words about the neighborhood. Maria noticed how naturally Jason interacted with others, spreading kindness with every small gesture. "You really pay attention to people," she said. "It's inspiring." Later, they stopped at the cafe for a short break. They enjoyed fresh tea and pastries while chatting about their school memories, shared dreams, and plans for the future. Jason felt grateful for the chance to reconnect with Maria, realizing how these simple conversations strengthened their bond. After the walk, they visited the local market. Jason showed Maria where to find the best fruits, vegetables, and fresh bread. He explained how he often helped his neighbors and friends choose the best produce, sharing tips that made shopping easier and more enjoyable. Maria was impressed. "You really make a difference in people's daily lives, even with small things," she said. Jason smiled. "Yes, sometimes the little actions create the biggest impact." In the evening, Jason's family gathered for a light dinner with Maria. Laughter and stories filled the room as they shared experiences from the day. Omar proudly showed Maria his homework, and Jason's parents offered advice and encouragement. The warmth of these simple family interactions reminded Jason of the importance of time spent together. After dinner, they sat by the window, sipping tea and watching the sun set. Jason reflected on the day, the peaceful walk, the market visit, the laughter shared with family and friends. Each moment, though small, had created lasting memories and a sense of fulfillment. Before going to bed, Jason wrote in his notebook about the day. He noted the joy of reconnecting with Maria, the beauty of simple conversations, and the small acts of kindness that enriched life. He realized again that happiness often came not from grand events, but from mindful, meaningful interactions with people around him. As he turned off the lights, Jason felt content. The weekend had just begun, but it was already full of memories that would stay with him forever. The next morning, Jason woke up feeling refreshed and ready for a new day of adventure with Maria. After a quick breakfast with his father and Omar, he packed a small bag with essentials and met Maria at the cafe by the river. The air was crisp, and the sun cast a golden glow over the quiet streets. "Good morning, Jason." Maria greeted him warmly. "I'm excited to explore the city today." "Me too," Jason replied with a smile. "I have a few places in mind where we can enjoy the calm and beauty of the city, and maybe discover a few hidden spots." Their first stop was the botanical garden. Walking among the vibrant flowers and tall trees, they paused to take in the scents and colors. Jason explained which plants were his favorites and shared a few tips on simple gardening, just like he had shared with friends before. Maria listened attentively, impressed by his knowledge and the calm way he observed nature. As they strolled along a quiet path, they encountered a young boy struggling to reach a bird feeder. Jason gently helped him adjust it so the birds could eat easily. The boy smiled shyly and thanked him. Maria whispered, "You always notice opportunities to help, even small ones." Jason shrugged. "It feels natural. Small gestures can brighten someone's day more than we realize." Afterward, they visited a small art gallery tucked between two buildings. Jason and Maria admired the paintings, discussing how each artist captured emotions and stories in colors and shapes. They even met a local artist who shared a few insights about inspiration and creativity. Jason realized how even brief conversations could expand his perspective and bring new ideas. By midday, they stopped at a quiet riverside cafe for lunch. They ordered light sandwiches and tea, sitting at a table overlooking the flowing water. While eating, they shared stories from their childhoods, laughed at old memories, and talked about hopes for the future. Jason felt grateful for the ease of conversation with Maria, appreciating how simple moments could strengthen friendships. In the afternoon, they walked to a nearby community center, where Jason often volunteered. He introduced Maria to a few of the volunteers and showed her how small acts of service like organizing books for children or helping with local gardening projects could create meaningful connections within the community. Maria was inspired, saying, "Seeing people come together like this makes me want to help more." As the sun began to set, they returned to Jason's home. His family greeted Maria warmly, and Omar eagerly shared his latest school projects. Dinner was light and filled with laughter, and afterward, they all sat together for tea. Jason reflected on the day, the calm morning walk, the art gallery visit, the small acts of kindness, and the shared stories with family and friends. Each moment, though simple, had left a lasting impression. Before going to bed, Jason wrote in his notebook about the day's experiences. He noted the joy of exploring the city, the lessons learned from observing and helping others, and the value of spending quality time with friends and family. He realized once again that happiness often came from attention to small, meaningful moments, not from grand gestures. As he closed his notebook and turned off the light, Jason felt a sense of peace. The city, the friendships, the laughter, and the acts of kindness had filled his day with warmth and purpose, reminding him that life's richness comes from the small moments we choose to cherish. That evening, as the sky turned a deep shade of purple and the stars began to appear, Jason sat by his window with his notebook. He reflected on the day's moments, the laughter shared with Maria, the calm walks through the park and gardens, the small acts of kindness he had witnessed, and the warmth of his family's presence. Each moment, though simple, carried a lesson about connection, empathy, and mindfulness. He realized that happiness wasn't in grand events or expensive gifts. It lived in the quiet smiles exchanged, the hands extended to help, the heartfelt conversations, and the small efforts that showed care. Jason smiled, feeling grateful for the day and hopeful for tomorrow. Before turning off the light, he wrote a final note in his journal. Life is full of little opportunities to make a difference. Every small act of kindness, every meaningful conversation, creates ripples that touch many lives, including our own. He closed the notebook, took a deep breath, and whispered, "Every day is a chance to live fully, with heart and purpose." If you enjoyed following Jason's story and the small, meaningful moments that shaped his days. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to TalkTune English for more stories that inspire, teach, and remind us of life's simple joys. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us about a small act of kindness you did recently, or a moment that made your day special. Your story might inspire someone else, just like Jason's story inspired you. Thank you for watching, and remember, life is richest in the little moments we choose to cherish.